Evening, good afternoon, good night, happy new year. It's nuanced. We don't forget. This is an interesting one. I have been putting out a trail of information, you know, purposely. So, on purpose, I've been doing it. As I say time and time again, it's almost like it's a public journal, you know. Because there was a time in life where, I thought I was slick. I thought I was low. But in actuality, people are always watching, you know. There are lurkers everywhere. They don't say anything. But if you're not moving correctly and you think you're being low and you think folks are not paying attention, they actually are. And it's almost like when you kind of want folks to pay attention, it always seems like they're not, right? And when you don't want folks to pay attention, you think they're not, but they actually are. Either way, if it's in people's interest to pay attention, they will, for whatever that reason is. And nowadays, there's no reason for me to think I should be low for anything. I don't need to be low because I'm moving correctly. And as a result, when you're moving the way you should move, then it really doesn't matter either way. If people want to pay attention or they don't, it doesn't matter. In this case, the journal is being put out publicly. And we don't forget, it's nuanced. Today is about, as I just covered what I said about putting things out publicly, something I put out for quite some time over the course of years. Right? Sometimes when people think they're doing something for you, there's a lot of self-interest. Like I said, people will find a way to pay attention when it meets their needs and what they want, whatever that reason is. So, in line with me saying we don't forget and it's nuanced, let me break it down. Let me explain. I saw this video, right? It was like a short clip of some producer, right? And it was a conversation that someone was recording of the rapper Dave East, right? And this producer, from what I hear, is a producer who's done tracks for like Dipset, whatever. And the gist of the conversation was him telling this, meaning the rapper, telling this producer, like, I won't ever do anything with you. Like, I'm pointing out this to give you like an extreme example, right? So he's basically saying, you and I, we can't do anything together. Ever. That doesn't mean we can't be cool. It's love. We can be cool. I see you, you see me. It's cordial. But as far as us collaborating, we can't ever do anything together. And that's what I mean by we don't forget. It's nuanced because that example is an extreme example. How I'm thinking, And why it's nuanced is because I'm dealing with people who it's at least it's supposed to be more than just cordial. So I'm pretty sure in their heads, because this has come up before, where I have heard, oh, you know what, with Bays, it's either his way or the highway. And what's important to note here is a couple of things. I don't really take that as like a diss, you know? Because I don't, first and foremost, when I think about it objectively, I don't think like I have an issue meeting people halfway. I realistically don't think I have a problem with that whatsoever. I can meet people halfway. So if anyone thinks like it's either his way or the highway, that's partially true, because we should all be thinking about ourselves and what makes the most sense for us. However, to just say it as, well, if it's not his way, then nothing is gonna fly. What's up, YouTube butterflies? How you doing? Good morning. And that's not accurate. It's not, because, like I said, I can meet people halfway. Now, the example I previously gave, which was an extreme example, this is why it's nuanced. Because some of the people that I am thinking of, they're people I've known for a long, long time. Like, I'm talking about decades. Like, I've known these people. Like, there's genuine love with these people. However, they think in their heads that they have done things where it's like, I was always there for you, you know, or like I like at your worst, I showed up. But here's the thing about that, right? And I want to make sure I'm clear and I put this out, but at the same time, I'm treading carefully because I know people are sensitive. Now, when I think, and I can't ever really say this to people, so I'm just going to put it out without actually talking to people. Whoever sees this, if you see it, I put it out publicly so you're able to maybe decipher it. Because I can't speak to a lot of people directly, because you're going to get in your feelings. And we can't have an open conversation with one another. You think you can, but in actuality, we can't, because you get emotional and then you get riled up and then it goes elsewhere. Whereas if we were just having a conversation and being open-minded, we would be able to get beyond certain issues, and then we would see eye to eye, and then we could meet each other halfway. But that can't happen because of what I just explained. So I'm putting this out there, and it's nuanced. So the fact is, I don't ever forget, and you don't ever forget. And because you can't meet me halfway, then we can't ever get past it. So what it comes down to is, you think you have done things that in your head was looking out. Let's just say you think you looked out for me. But in actuality, I think that's half true. So that means, yes, you did because it was the right thing to do. However, it was more like when Thanksgiving comes along, you say, Happy Thanksgiving. When 3 days just passed, 4 or 5 days just passed, you go, Happy New Year. And when a person sneezes, you say, bless you. That's what happened there. So it was the right thing to do. It was customary. It felt right. And because there's genuine love, you just felt like you had to do that. But you weren't listening to me. And this is why it's nuanced. And this is why either one of us won't forget. Instead of listening to me, because I kept saying, look, I don't want that. I'm literally telling you straight up, I don't want that. This is what I want. I'm telling you straight up, this is what I want. And you swerved that. You basically swerved what I wanted for years and years and years, and you only did what was in your own self-interest, but it was kind of camouflaged along the lines of, I looked out for you. When I was telling you straight up, I don't want that. This is what I want. So that's why I say it's nuanced and we won't forget. And because we can't actually have a conversation where you don't get emotionally sensitive to where we can actually have dialogue, we can't meet each other halfway. Even though you think it's only my way or the highway, I'm willing to meet whomever halfway. But the majority of folks are like this because it actually pertains to you. And when it pertains to you, you catch feelings. Because it's like, well, he's talking about me. And then you take it to heart. But the point is, I don't forget because like I said, this was customary on your part. You felt like you had to do it. And when you did it, it made you feel good. Because in your head, it was like, I looked out for him. Meanwhile, he was telling you all along, don't do that. I don't want that. But this is what I want. And what he wanted, meaning me, what he kept saying, meaning what I kept saying, you swerved. You didn't pay attention to what he actually wanted. You only did what you thought was the right thing to do. Like saying happy birthday, happy Valentine's Day, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. All of that. When someone sneezes, you say, God bless you, right? Or bless you. It's customary. But when I was saying the same thing over and over and over way back, like, don't do that. You think that's what is correct or the right thing to do, but I'm telling you, don't do it. Even though it's for me, I'm telling you, don't do it. This is what I specifically want you to do. And you didn't do that. You didn't listen to me. And I was the one who was in need. You see how that works? I don't forget that. So as a result, now, moving forward, it hasn't changed. Because in the present, I'm telling everyone, this is what I want. And if you're someone who's known me for a long time, and I'm telling you, and I've been telling you for years now, don't do that. I'm not interested in any of that. This is what I want you to do. And you still haven't done it? There's nothing else to talk about. I don't forget. And you're still holding on to what you think you did for me. I'm kind of speaking in generalities, Mike, because a lot of people who know me are very sensitive. So if I straight up say exactly what it is, then they're all going to be like, he's talking about me. So the reason I'm putting this out there is because a lot of folks swerve what other people are telling them they want. It could be your wife, it could be your mother, it could be your husband, it could be your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your parents, children, whatever. They're telling you straight up, this is what they want. You're swerving that and you're doing what you think. Maybe the kid's part is different coming from a parent. But pretty much everyone else, if you're dealing with grown adults, if those adults are telling you straight up, this is what they want, and you are swerving that, and you are only doing what you think is right for them, they're not going to forget that. And that's what's nuanced about this. So now moving forward, all those people I said repeatedly, this is what I want you to do a long time ago and to this day. And you swerved that and you only did what you thought was best for me. I'm a grown man. You see these grays in my beard? Like, I earned these. You're not going to tell me what's best for me because that's what you think you should be doing for me. And then you can hold on to that memory and say, I looked out for him. No, that's not how it works. I don't forget that. So now as a result, moving forward, I don't have any issues with any of you all. But remember, I don't forget those things. And I've been saying the same thing over and over for years. And I'm putting this out publicly. So without actually speaking specifically about exactly what those things are, remember you swerved me for a long, long time. So now when I swerve all of you, don't be upset. It isn't just my way or the highway. It was the fact that I kept letting you all know this is what I want, and you swerved that. You only did what you thought was best for me, and I'm a grown man. I don't forget that. And it's nuanced, and I just broke it all down. Usually it takes me about 10 to 12 minutes to make sure I explain this whole thing on every live stream. I did it in 15 minutes. That's really it. I don't know, Sam Fleury. I don't know if you're still here, but I mean, we all have something, right? Genetically. With me, I said I was going to do something as far as his beard is concerned. I let it go, and it definitely went. Kashawn, what's up? How you doing? But that's really it, And like I said, just to cap this, I don't forget. And I have no issues with any of you all. NT, how you doing? No, I can't. Admiring Earth, I can't really break it down further because like I was saying, I don't know if you're just coming in, but if I break it down specifically, then whoever looks in and sees this live stream, and I've known them for years, they're going to say to themselves, like, he's talking about me specifically. And as a result, they're going to catch feelings. So I can't tell you exactly what I'm speaking about, but I can tell you it really pertains to all of us. So even though I'm talking about my own specific situations, it pertains to all of us. Because if someone is telling you who you know and you are cool with or you have love for, and they're telling you what they want and they're grown people, and you swerve what they want just to do what you think is best for them, and they're grown adults, keep in mind, you only had self-interest. You did what you thought was best for them. They're not your kids. They're grown adults. They kept telling you, if they're communicative like I am, and they kept telling you, look, and you can't get more communicative than me. I'm literally telling these people, look, I'm not interested in that. What you're doing, I'm not interested in. This is what I want done. I can't make it any clearer than that. I'm telling you straight up, this is what I want. And then you swerve that and you do what you think is right for me. And I'm a grown man. We can't really mesh. You can fight that all you want and say, oh, he only thinks about himself and what's best for him. And yeah, I should. I really should. Because I'm a grown man. Like, are you going to do that? Are you going to look out for me? Are you my parent? No, you're not. So when it comes down to it, if you're my friend or if you're someone close to me, if you have love for me and I'm telling you straight up, this is what you should be doing for me because this is what I appreciate and this is what I want, and what you're doing, I'm not interested in that, then you should know already. And if you kept swerving it year after year after year after year, now when it hits you and I start swerving you, what else do we have to talk about? You know, that's just what it comes down to. So, and like I said, it pertains to all of us, because if you're dealing with grown adults, like your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, you know, whomever, and they're telling you straight up, look, this is what I need you to do for me. This is what I appreciate and this is what I want. And you keep doing everything else but what they want, eventually it's going to get to a place where it's like, okay, you're just totally ignoring me. And then you try and like reverse it on me and say, all the things I did for you, everything but what I wanted, right? That's it. That's all it comes down to. There's not much else I have to say about that. But welcome. I appreciate, everyone coming in. I spent almost 20 minutes breaking that down in detail, right? So bottom line, again, if you see me, what's up, Sharice? How you doing? If you see me swerving you and not really, conversing with you, just keep in mind there was always a reason why that happened. Didn't just happen anywhere. And likewise, on the flip side, if you're one of those people who, casual, what's up? How you doing? If you're one of those people who actually gave me a reason to pay close attention to you, you better trust and believe like I am in a rush to make sure I'm responsive to you. If you never gave me a reason to do anything else, then you wouldn't ever feel neglected by me. I would make you feel, I could be in this live stream with 1,000 people scrolling and giving comments, and no one else exists but you. But if you gave me a reason to not give you that type of attention, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't have to be a romantic interest or anything like that. Any person. If you gave me a reason, then you should already know. This didn't come out the blue. It didn't come out of nowhere where you're getting swerved. There's always a reason. That's bottom line. There's always a reason with me. I'm one of those people. I'm very meticulous. I'll see an ant on the floor and know the difference between that ant and the next ant. If I can do that with an ant, you know I can do it with a human being. That's really it. Yeah, I'm all right, Sharice. I appreciate that. But it's sad because it's unfortunate because there are a lot of people, good people, intelligent people I've known for a long, long time. And otherwise, I'm cordial. I don't have any issues with these people. These people are very awesome people. They're good people. Believe me, I've broken bread with the grimiest folks. And what's sad about it is, like, sometimes the people that are so-called grimy, I get along with them better than I do with these so-called like intelligent, kind-hearted, great people, because they don't know the basics of how to like interact. So just because a person is quote unquote grimy, they might have better etiquette when it comes to interacting with people. That's what's sad about it. So I'm pretty sure these people will be thinking to themselves like, what? Like, I'm me, and they're not going to say that, but in their heads, they're like, I'm me, like, how can he do that to me? And like I said, it didn't come out the blue. So when you're swerved, you best believe you're getting swerved on purpose. I do everything with intent. And it doesn't matter that you did it, quote unquote, you didn't do it on purpose. After a certain period of time, and the same thing happens Time after time after time after time, week after month after year, how many times can you not do something on purpose? Come on now. So you're going to tell me 786 times you didn't do it on purpose? After you already heard me in a very communicative way say, I don't appreciate that. This is what I want. I don't forget. And although it's nuanced, I broke it down, and I've been breaking it down, and I've been extremely communicative over many years. So now it's my turn. You're getting swerved. Every single person who deserved to get swerved, best believe you're getting swerved. And it should be no confusion in your head, because I was extremely communicative for years. And I gave you the benefit of the doubt over and over and over and over and over. And like, I should be crazy to continue. That's really it. And you think when I see people, out of nowhere, like hitting me up, because I don't give too many people too many options whatsoever nowadays to hit me up. And then when the very few outlets that they have to hit me up, you don't think I see that? So you know it's with intent that you're getting swerved. And now you should feel what you put me through for the longest. So now when it comes back to you, you shouldn't be thinking to yourself, well, I'm not getting any response. And ladies, fellas, whomever, if this applies to you and you have people in your life that are sucking you dry spiritually, soul-wise, Nature Boy, what's up? If they're draining your energy, please let go. Please let that go from your life. I let it drag for way too long. Because I always try to rationalize in my head, like, these people are smart, they're great, they're awesome, I have so much history with them, I've been around them for so long, they've done so many awesome things with me, etc., 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 but they're draining your energy every single day. Let them go. Let that go. It's parasitic. It's sucking you dry, it's sucking your soul. You know the name of this channel, Malabar Base's Soul. Why do you think I put soul in there? Souls of universal language. We understand energy. So if your energy is being tampered with, your soul, your spirit, you need to let that go. Because when you're dealing with other entities and their energy is dragging and draining you, stop letting it drag on. Leave it be. Let it go. You'll feel a lot better afterwards. Trust and believe. We need simplicity in our lives on a day-to-day basis. We need to make sure we bring our anxiety levels down and our stress levels down so that we can focus on things we really, truly want to do with the few people that make sense in our lives to spend it with. That's it. Stop allowing parasitic energy to be around your circle. Keep your circle tight. You don't need that around you. Doesn't matter what kind of history you have with them. Jerry, what's up? How you doing? Unsorted, yes I am. And just let it go. And when you let it go, you'll be happy. I learned to do this, and it's not something most people could just do like that, like right away. No, it takes some effort. It took me years to get to this point where I let all of that go, So, yeah, I put a filter on, Mr. Fox. And when it comes down to it, now at this point, I'm so much happier. My own parents can't contact me. And I have nothing but love for my parents. That's how serious it is. You know? So, with that being said, I just want everyone to know, if you have the ability to let go of parasitic energy from your lives, please do so. You know, give it that, like, okay, snip, snip. You know, how someone earlier was saying snip, snip. I'm assuming it's this, right? Snip, snip, right? Snip, snip that energy that's parasitic. Snip one person at a time. Snip one unnecessary drain, because it's leaking. It's leaking your spiritual essence. That's what I'm saying. You know? Yeah, it's hit or miss, James. It's like some people, you know, they say some really nasty things. They troll. And then some people, yeah, of course, my beard is messy right now. But you know what? I'm grinding. Like, I'm not dirty. So if my beard is not freshly braided or, like, you know, put into a you know, some sort of a style, I practice personal hygiene. I'm clean. I smell good. My habits are on point. You know, I go number 2 regularly. I'm on point. So if you got some, you know, offensive about my beard, great. Hopefully I bore you enough so that you eventually leave. Slender Man, I understand that, and I appreciate your feedback, but I can't be any more cautious than I've been. When you've done this over the course of years, this is not like, okay, I'm snipping these people, I'm cutting them off like right now. No, this has happened over the course of 20 something years. So I let it go for that long. So over the last 3 years is when I gradually started cutting people out. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt over and over and over and over and over. And I kept trying to rationalize in my head why it would make sense to not do it. So believe me, I was cautious. It didn't just happen like that. So I gave them ample opportunities. And I was literally, you know, I didn't want to test people. But at the same time, I'm testing you to see if, you know, me rationalizing this makes any sense or not. And you failed over and over and over. So now you're getting swerved. This didn't just happen overnight. Yeah, I'm good now. I'm good. That wasn't easy for me to do. I genuinely enjoy these people. I have history with these people. I've known them for a long decades. Imagine. That was not easy for me to cut them out, to cut them off and just, you know, when they're trying to get in contact with me and I'm not even like responsive, that's not easy for me to do. But this was over years. You know? And after a certain point, if you made mistakes, you have a mouth. You're intelligent. If you don't know how to communicate and you don't know how to say anything and you want to be a mime forever, I can't read your mind. You know? So I'm going to be far gone. I'm going to be in my own world living my peace. Because that energy was parasitic. To me, anyways. I didn't want it. Rolling venom, my beard is down to my knees. And I've been, this most recent time, I've grown it for almost 6 years now. Dixon, I'm pretty sure that must be a surefire way to combat that. I wouldn't suggest it or recommend it, but you know, hey, if it works for you and your issues down there, I hope, you know, it does something that maybe the doctor or urologist wasn't able to find out, you know, and maybe you could suggest it next time. Bu, I don't know what your question is regarding, but yeah, possibly, possibly, possibly no, you know. But all I know is now that I've let it go, I'm living my peace. So it can't be parasitic anymore, you know. When you're living simplistic and your anxiety goes down, and there are a few things. It's not just people, right? There are other situations that should probably be liberating as well. And I've spoken about some of those things pretty much every live stream. So yeah, I appreciate that, Rochelle. I'm in a much better, situation. Like I said, it wasn't easy for me. I just wanted to put this out there because I think it applies to all of us. And earlier on in this live stream, there were people that were trying to get me to say specifically what it is. But understand, I know so many people, and so many people are on good terms with me where when I say it specifically, they're going to catch feelings. That's why I'm not being specific in what I'm saying. But you all know who you are. So if you ever, because you're not going to say anything anyways. But if you're watching this, this is directed to you, So if you've been swerved by me and we know each other well and we have known each other for a long time, it should be no surprise. 2026 is our year. I don't need these people around me. Parasitic energy. I don't need that. We're gonna crush 2026 without any of that. We're gonna crush it because we're driven. You come in here, you're gonna get driven energy. You're gonna get, for the most part, okay, maybe this live stream today wasn't all that happy-go-lucky, but it's real. So we're talking about matters that matter to not just me and my personal situation that I put out here publicly, but to a lot of people, Hey, what's up, Scumbucket? How you doing? I just wanted to put that out there. And I think it was important. And like I said, over and over, if you have parasitic energy, make sure you let it go. That's really what it comes down to. It's that simple. And I hope that 2026 is a year where folks do that for themselves. I've been doing it not, as a New Year's resolution. I've been doing it over the last several years. And I will continue to do it. So, yeah, that's really it. How much time do we have? I have these notifications coming up blocking my screen. Okay, 38 minutes. Oh, come on with these notifications. Okay, yeah. So, wow, on and on. So we're almost at 40 minutes. That's good. Good thing, good deal. So, other than that, perhaps we can talk about situations that are less serious. Maybe we could talk about more lighthearted matters, because that was possibly intense. But this is a public journal of sorts. I've been putting this type of stuff out for a long time. Well, Ozzy, I'm glad that anytime any area is, or in any situation is brought to the limelight or to the forefront, you can see things more clearly, right? So I would agree that's a good thing, because you don't want to have certain energy not be visible, right? If it's at least in front of you where it's not hiding, that's probably the best case scenario, right? So What's up, Sim? How you doing? Welcome, welcome, greetings on this January 5th. This coming week is actually it's going to warm up for the next several days, quite a bit. So, we've had some brutal temperatures over here in New York for a while, so it's a good thing. I'm glad it's going to be warmer. It's not so bone, you know, it was ridiculous. But sometimes, and when it comes to certain matters, I tread carefully, not just because of how sensitive folks are with with certain types of topics, but understand the platform I'm on is sensitive in itself, So I tread carefully. Now, as far as the chat is concerned, you all can talk about whatever you want to talk about. You're not ever going to get censored here. War Walker, what's up? How you doing? But like I said, you all can chat about whatever you want to chat about without fear of being, you know, banned or censored or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. You talk about anything and everything over here. And this channel won't ever be monetized. And there won't ever be a push for anything, let alone subs or engagement or likes or any of that. I'm not going to be the one to push it. There's going to be no mods in here. Doesn't matter where this channel goes. 15 degrees. Sheesh. Ozzy, how are you doing it? That's half the temperature. Wow. New Hampshire. I've heard some wonderful things about New Hampshire, I'm assuming New Hampshire is probably somewhere near Rhode Island, I think. Obviously it's the Northeast. It's a little bit more north, but wow, it's 15 degrees. Yeah, I wish you the best with that. That's quite cold. But it sounds like a beautiful place. I've never been, but it sounds like an awesome place. I've been to Massachusetts. Obviously, I figured it was close to Rhode Island. That's the only thing, it's just the temperature. You have such beautiful places, but then you have some southern places that are pretty, I think, lovely, like perhaps West Virginia, North Carolina. Maybe to some people they would think otherwise, but I'm looking at the land, like Alabama, Mississippi, parts of Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. The land is immaculate, and I would say in probably the southernmost tips would be like right around the Gulf, like southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, Louisiana, even the Panhandle, those areas. Those are nice because the land. But yeah, I agree with you. The Four Seasons it's beautiful, but for me, that's where it ends. It could be pretty and all that, but it's just the cold, It's just, I like to go outside. I like to walk, and I don't want to be in like 6 layers. I like to walk. I like to, like when I was younger, I used to see articles and like dating, but this is back in the day, so it was different. It's not like how, dating apps are nowadays, but like older folks, because now I'm an older folk, right? I'm an older person. But when I was younger, it was always like, why do these women like to walk? I used to think like that sounds boring. And now I'm one of those people who likes to walk, you know? Even though I'm like very athletic still and I like to work, train and, I do crazy calisthenics and all of that. But I like to walk. I like to walk. And if I'm with a friend or a romantic interest and that person likes to walk too, so be it. I'm going to have fun. Whereas before I used to wonder, like, why do people like walking? Now I get it. And I don't want to be walking where at nighttime, because I'm pretty active at night. At nighttime, it's like single digits around these months, and that's my issue. Because that's not going to feel good. For me, it's not. I don't think it's going to feel good for most people. Like if it's 7 degrees outside and the wind is blowing, are you going to be walking on the trail at night? Not me. But in the summertime when it's 69 degrees at night, that sounds good to me. With or without a breeze. So I get it now. I get the whole walking thing. I enjoy it. And I have no issue walking with whomever. And we can have a long conversation talking about whatever it is, we want to talk about. But, yeah, so other than that, I can't wait to see what this year provides. I enjoy actually doing this YouTube thing. Like last year, I said to myself, let me push YouTube, because I've done it for business. I've done it for everything was actually revolving around business. And I was even doing it on a separate channel for business. And I never really got anything out of it, But this year, I started pushing this channel. And over the course of 1 year in 2025, I went from 100 subs to almost 1,400 subs in 1 year, And that was pretty awesome how that was happening. And I was just like, what the hell? When I had a freaking YouTube channel for my business and I was, editing videos and I was doing all this stuff relatively frequently, nothing was happening, And then this year I was like, you know what? There's going to be nothing that I'm pushing. Nothing as far as like, you won't ever hear, because in that channel and for business, I was saying like and subscribe and, like I was pushing my business, all of that stuff. Here, like everything is just like, it's free flowing. I don't ever push liking or subbing, engagement, any of that stuff to anyone. There's nothing to sell. There's no kind of trying to get people to do anything. Everything goes, everything's free flowing. And it worked, and it's working, and I'm having fun. So it's awesome. And I would love to see what happens after this year, 2026. If like, okay, in 1 year last year, if we made 1,300 subs in one, and at the same time, I'm human, right? I may not push for people to sub or like or engage or do any of that stuff. But if it happens, it happens. And, YouTube is kind of cool where you just like, you're always trying to figure out this algorithm thing, like what works, what doesn't. I'm human. So I like it. Even though I'm not like obsessed with it where it's like, oh no, my likes are going down. Oh no, like my views are going down. Like I don't think that way. But when you get more subs and engagement and stuff like that, it feels good, So I'd love to see what happens when January of 2027 comes around. Let's see how many subs we have, If we did almost 1,400 last year, maybe we hit 4,000 or 5,000 subs this year. That would be amazing, Yeah, say or C, Widraga. I I yeah, I wouldn't I don't really remember when I started getting grays, but I know I was able to grow a beard when I was young. And Jesse, as far as your question is concerned, um, I get that question a lot. Just like people say I have a youthful face but a gray beard, I get that a lot too. And that was actually part of the plan, you know. But as far as your question, because I have a ponytail here, right? I would assume like my hair is a ponytail, but this is kind of like, I guess, a ponytail as well. There's no amount of money. There's no amount of money whatsoever, Jesse. So I just got finished saying how, like, I won't ever charge here in YouTube for anything. No Discord, no pay. I say this all the time. No Patreon, no Discord, no subscriptions, no memberships, no sponsorships, no promotions, no monetization, no, you know, verification, and no YouTube check ever. And I don't want to take money from anyone. So you can't ever give me a super chat. You can't, because I won't ever have a YouTube partnership program. And the only way you could do a super chat is by partnering up with YouTube. I appreciate YouTube. I enjoy YouTube. But do I want to get paid by YouTube? No, not at all. And I don't ever want to take money from anyone. It doesn't matter if it's for like water. Like, I'm going to use that money for water. No, I'm not. I don't want anything from anyone for anything. So to come back and circle back to your question, there's no amount of money that I would accept for that. That's me being realistic. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's $1 million. I would respectfully decline. That may sound crazy, but it is what it is. I'm not interested. But yeah, like Ozzy, I'm looking at the temperatures in the South. Amazing. I was talking about this yesterday on the live stream about how there's like a period of as little as 3 weeks, 3 weeks out the year where like the majority of the southern states have like very cold temperatures. And it usually starts around the end of January and it goes to like maybe the beginning of February. That's it. It's like 2 weeks in January and then a week in February, depending on like where we're talking about. But I would say as you get towards Florida, down, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, parts of Southeast Texas, yeah, it's only 3 weeks out the year. The rest, I'm talking about 3 weeks out the year where it's actually really cold. But the rest of the year, it's like, it's crazy hot, So that's very interesting. If I was in Florida right now, I'd be everywhere. Like I said, I don't want to be outside walking around being the normal curious person I am when it's like single digits. Because I don't like that. But if it's January 5th and it's 70 degrees outside, I'm going to be talking about it. And chances are, because not only am I patriotic, but I love New York. It sounds like a slogan, which it is, but no matter where I go, I want to retain that level of high curiosity, like childlike curiosity, because it's youthful, and I want to be able to not get sick and tired of any place. I want to be like, I'm not really going to anyways, because I'm here in New York pretty much my whole life, and I find ways to see the curiosity and excitement about any little thing out here. So I won't allow myself to not be curious about any place I go. But I don't want to like not so much get bored, but like I want to kind of keep that excitement and, unknown part of the equation high, So I can't wait to be traveling. I'll be talking all about it. I'm sure I'll do live streams wherever I'm at and point out a lot of things that are fascinating, you know. But yeah, with that being said, I don't know if anyone has anything they want to bring up, talk about, certain topics. Like I said, I tread carefully. So despite me, I want to talk about certain topics, but like I said, this platform is not only are people extremely sensitive, but this platform is very sensitive, so I tread carefully. And, these are like unwritten rules of engagement here. So, like I said, you won't get banned and you won't get shunned from talking about whatever you want to talk about. But, I've been homeless, Running Man, for, sad to say, about 1.5 years. I live in this vehicle and, I have some knowledge, I have like useless knowledge. So I just kind of like get on here and I talk about it, and I tell people all the time, I don't want their money, but I'm homeless. So it's just one of those things. So I'm like a weird kind of sage where I have this useless information. I just try and speak about it. It doesn't matter how much knowledge I attain. It's not very beneficial in getting a place, like a roof. And it's one of those sad things about being this knowledgeable and not being able to do anything about it, unfortunately. Oh, awesome, Underground. That's awesome to hear. Hopefully one day I come out there and maybe we could do something, we can put something together and make it happen, I got another joint I'm actually about to put out. It's called Flames, and I'm just kind of mixing it down right now. I work with my boy. He's someone I've been working with. He comes here sometimes into these live streams, and he's the only person I really want to collaborate with, actually, because I respect him. Like he's a powerful MC, He's a good dude. I consider him a brother, and I respect him as an MC. Like, dude is he's one of those where it's like he when I hear his stuff, it's like I get butterflies, Like that's how we stay true to the art. Like when I hear him, because when you're true to the art in any type of, it could be like, you could be a painter, you can be an artist yourself, you can be a producer, you can anything, right? When you're around the presence of greatness, it doesn't matter if like, someone else's definition of greatness is associated to whatever, right? I know he's a legend. In my eyes, the number of years I've been doing this, he's a legend. And when I say butterflies, it's like goosebumps, Because he's one of those where like the poetry comes out and it just makes you think. It's like, it makes you, it has you give those faces, where it's just like, it's almost like real good food that you eat and it's just like, oh, this is so good. It's like one of those, but it's just, his art is like that. His poetry and motion's incredible, and I can't wait till we go back to collaborating. He's really the only person I want to collaborate with. And now, like, he and I just kind of work on these tracks so that we just get a decent sound before I put them out there. And then, like I said, this one's called Flames. We're working on it right now just to kind of mix and master it, and then we put it out there. I appreciate it, ZZZZ. And yeah, that's awesome. I've tried Fruity Loops as well, but and I've tried Logic as well, but I stay on Pro Tools. My boy who I was telling you about, he uses Logic, and I use Pro Tools, and we just kind of like whenever he gets back into it, and we collaborate together, like we make it work. I have 2 more pieces of equipment that I want to upgrade to. Like I want to swap my mic out, and I want to get this mixing console. And then and that comes with its own DAW. It's literally, it's a hybrid where it can literally go from its own DAW to whatever DAW you use. So in my case, I use Pro Tools, right? So it literally has its own SSL. It has its own SSL DAW built inside the outboard gear, which is it's a board. It's a mixing console, right? But it has its own DAW, and then it's a hybrid, so you can literally toggle back and forth between Pro Tools and SSL, which is amazing. So it's just 2 pieces of equipment I want to upgrade to, starting with the mic that I want to swap to, and it's lit. From there we go, and then I can't wait to take it to the next levels as far as quality is concerned. But I appreciate that, ZZZZ. Appreciate that. So yeah, it's always good to network with people. And Jay, I'm just talking about like random things. This all started from, the nuances of how we don't forget things. And then from there, we talk about whatever we want to talk about. I can't really delve too deep into politics and religion and certain topics, even though I'd like to, because the audience is sensitive, first and foremost. I'm not scared to do it, but the unwritten rules of engagement here on this platform, because it's a very sensitive platform, is a certain way too, and I'm very aware of it. So certain topics I just don't touch, but if they're topics I think are completely fine to talk about, I will. However, people here in the chat, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care how negative it is. You could be spamming. You could be doing whatever you want. You're not going to get banned, And like, if I'm not ever verifying this channel, who's going to tell us otherwise? Like I said, I'm careful to be cautious about what I speak about. But as far as the people who are in the chat and want to exercise their freedom of speech, please do. Talk about whatever you want to talk about, So, but, whether it's about some technical stuff or it's about, other interesting topics, we'll do so, Yeah, so I can't wait to see how I have a lot of exciting thoughts, ideas, and plans for 2026. I can't wait. I can't wait. I think this year is going. I called this many years ago. I think in 2020 it was like, the pandemic year, or yeah, it was like 2021 or so. I was already calling 2026 would be that year. And here we are, 2026. And I can't wait, because this year is going to be amazing. And it just started, so I've been waiting a long time for this year, and I had a lot of ups and downs these past few years. I had to learn a lot. I had to go through a lot, and I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been going through many trials and tribulations. Well, that's good to hear, These are all like health, related. So 2026 is going to be an amazing year. So if it's about stopping, certain substances and, getting into working out and, I'm almost always pushing health conscious decisions here. So you'll get a lot of motivational and inspirational energy if you visit this channel, because I try and almost daily push some sort of inspiration by way of healthy decisions, So, SAG, no, I'm about double that age, bro. So, as far as my New Year's resolutions, it comes down to the same things. And it comes down to financial freedom. So under financial I'm not lying. Financial freedom, it pertains to being debt free. You're exaggerating, Sag. But being debt free, having high credit, having high disposable liquid assets, right? So that all three are what I define as financial freedom, right? So that's one. And number two is ramping up my, like, all the aesthetic things that I want to do. Because I'll be in a situation where I'll be financially free. So as a result, there are a whole bunch of things that I haven't treated myself for a long time. I'm clearly not going to go overboard because I found financial freedom. But there are a lot of aesthetic things that I want to do. One of them, for example, is I want to get braces. So that's an example of like something aesthetic, I want to keep working on my physique and continue to keep my healthy habits intact. And overall, aesthetically, I want to work on myself, So that's number two. Number three is to maintain good ties with the people who count, So, wow, that's amazing, Jay. That was, I wish I could, like, how like they have super chats where you can gift the content creator? I wish there was some sort of like reverse Uno, and I just here, take that for being, a number one, So, yeah, that's crazy. Who knows? Maybe sometime in a year, January of 2027, it'll take a little bit more effort, for you to get the crown like that. It may not be as easy, But like in line with that last resolution, which I wouldn't even consider it so much a resolution because these things are already in play and they've already been happening, right? So, like, I've been doing this already. I didn't have to wait for January 1st for it to happen, And in line with, and I appreciate the compliment, Shiva, and I appreciate the compliment, Sag, but yeah, I've been eating healthy since like 30. That's when I made the choice. When I hit like 29, 30, yeah, that's when I was like, I'm starting this journey. Stay consistent. And I've been working on habits ever since. I've been like upping my habits all that time. And I just got better and better and better and better. And now I'm right around 50. So other than that, like I said, in line with like being keeping my circle tight, and then you know like giving more time to the people who matter. I want to make sure that, because if I'm already, you know, working on aesthetics, financially free, I want to make sure the few people who count, who are around me, are good. So those are mine. Those are mine. Yeah, I do. That's correct. But vegan, no, I don't use vegan meats. For about a year and a half, I was, yeah, that's an exaggeration, Shiva. But for a year and a half, I was going whole plant-based, right? And then recently, I started with fish, and after I reintroduced fish, I I then brought eggs back in. So no dairy, no red meat, no poultry, and not because of any religious reasons or because of, me trying to save the planet or anything like that. My parents are from Alipura, and I just, I started upping, because for a while I was just walking, right? And from just doing that alone and paying attention to hydration and proper sleep, oh, that's awesome. I was able to keep my shape intact. Like, I was ripped, and all I was doing was making sure my habits were on point, right? But all I was doing was walking. And all that time I was completely whole plant-based, you know? That's amazing. I appreciate that. I do. And then I started reintroducing calisthenics, right? And then little by little, I was doing calisthenics again. And as a result, it was like, oh shoot, it's not that I didn't think I could be fine on just plants and being whole plant-based, but I thought to myself, you know what? It's a little tricky. I could do it because all you have to do is combine proteins, right? When you combine proteins, then you're able to, get the right amino acids where they need to be. But I reintroduced fish, and then I started recently, it's been like maybe 5 weeks, I reintroduced resistance. And when I reintroduced resistance training, that's when I was eating fish and eggs. No dairy, no poultry, no red meat. I mean, once in a while, maybe if I might have some turkey or some chicken, but I really don't. For the most part, I just stick to fish and eggs. And I've been hitting weights, feels awesome. And I love it, No, it was completely fine, Jay. Like, if I want to, I can completely get off of fish and eggs right now. And I would be able to do it, even while hitting resistance. Because in my head, I'm not saying you can't get mass, like good lean muscle mass, from being a whole plant-based vegetarian. But me personally, I don't mind. Like, I have no problem being a completely whole plant-based. I've done it several times in my life, long term, But right now, I'm consuming fish and eggs, right? And specific eggs and specific fish species. Sag, I mean, everyone, like someone said like way up in the chat, they advised me to, be careful and cautious on how quickly I cut people off. And I had to break down how this didn't just happen overnight, right? It's similar when it comes to you know, your habits. Like, you have to unlearn certain things and relearn certain things, right? And that doesn't just happen right away. So, yeah, avo pescatarian. You have to take your time and you know, little at a time, you make those things happen. So, if you truly want to and you really want to make it happen, you can. And if you do it over however long it takes you, because it took me a while, you could do it, right? Okay, I was fortunate. I started young, right? I started at 29, 30. But you can start at any age, right? I would say if you can start at like 23, 24, 25, that's as good as you can get, right? Unless you're some like exceptional case where you started before that. But if you're still in your 20s and you start then, I started slightly late, but still kind of early. And it's paying off now. Like, my body feels amazing, you know? And yeah, like if I was to shave or if I was to maybe dye my hair, I'm sure I would look convincingly, you know, different. But I always kind of like, this was planned. Like, I wanted this. Like, I always thought to myself, if I'm going to grow my beard, I don't know how it's going to look or how long I can grow it because I wasn't sure. But in my head, it was like those old martial arts kung fu fighters, the senseis who had the long white beards, but then they could fight like young. Like, in my head, I was like, I want to kind of look young in the face, but have like a gray beard whenever it finally gets gray. And it's happening. It's literally happening. This is what I planned a long time ago. So when you have something in your head and you say to yourself, you want to make that happen, it's amazing when it does actually happen. Like, more or less kind of how you always planned it, you know? And that's my little story with the beard. Like, it literally happened kind of like how I always planned it to happen, you know? But yeah, that's really it. You know, I'm thinking I'm gonna end there. I'm going to carry on. The live stream is over an hour and 15 minutes, like I usually tend to make these. You know, once in a while, I did a 4-hour live stream one time. That was the longest I've done, right? Almost 4 hours. That was crazy. And that was a good time. I'm not gonna lie. And then most recently, I did a live stream. You too, bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming in and, you know, sharing your thoughts and being the number one here and snatching the crown and being that person. And yeah, Zach, take care, you know. But I appreciate every person's time here. I value your time and and you know, I hope to do this soon again. The last time I was saying that I did another live stream where I was talking about PE, right? That thing had like almost 3,000 views. But no one was really talking. You know, it was just like, it was one of those topics where it was like, it was revolving around Calc SD, right? And I was just talking about PE. And I wasn't even like really talking much about like, you know, training so much. No, I was just talking about PE, right? And in PE, like I was talking about PE culture, the Calc SD, and basically pumping and manual stretches. And yeah, I guess you could say that. But I'm getting out of business. I'm completely getting out of business, and I'm dissolving my LLC, and I'm getting out of real estate as well. Silver Wanderer. So yeah, I'm done. But yeah, I was having that that live stream, and like I was saying, not really anyone was contributing, but there was so many people that came in, you know, and a lot of people, you know, because I said, like, if you do Google searches on people who are interested in PE, men are more interested in PE than they're interested in height and hair. So I knew it was a topic that it was like, it could possibly generate interest. And it was the live stream that had the craziest turnout, although no one was really talking about anything. There was like the chat wasn't really lively, but the number of people who showed, and it could be an algorithm thing, right? Because for whatever reason, a whole bunch of people just thought maybe it was the time. I don't know. I don't know if it was necessarily the topic, but like I said, a lot of people were coming through, but not so many people were actually engaging. But maybe I'll do another one, a live stream that is on PE sometime in the future. Who knows, But I think, as I said earlier, being able to chat about health and anything health related and providing inspiration for folks, it's a good thing. And I try and do that as often as possible, So whether it's PE or working out or nutrition or animals or music or, certain topics I won't touch. And I broke that down many a time as to why I won't, because certain topics are kind of sensitive. And this is a platform that's very sensitive, so I probably won't touch certain topics. But for the most part, we're free flowing over here. And in the chat, if anyone wants to talk about whatever they want to talk about, you can always talk about anything, and not ever think you'll get censored or banned. Doesn't matter what you're speaking about. Yeah, and that's really it. With that being said, I'm going to end here, and I will catch you soon. I'll be sure to be posting, I'm pretty sure, about different things. And thanks again for coming through, checking in, chiming in, and till the next time.